darling. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be checking in with Connor Conquers. He's going to be telling me the worst guide to Path of Exile. And honestly, he's just, kind of playing it on the down low. The worst guide. I think he's kind of the man, the myth, the legend who's going to teach us just right. I've been really looking forward to this. I hope you have been as well. If you are new here, please do consider subscribing. It'd really help me out. I'd very, 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 very much appreciate it. Thank you. Are you ready? Let's go.
In 1769, Captain James Cook set foot on and mapped out New Zealand. Shortly thereafter, in 1788, England started sending some of its prisoners to the nearby Australian colony. And then finally, on June 28, 2000, Blizzard Entertainment released Diablo 2. These three equally important historic events led up to one of the most important game design questions ever posited by the visionary philosopher Chris Wilson.
Did he just pick three very wildly different things and say that they were all equally important? Can I get a fact check on that? Is that nah, he's right? Okay, my bad. My bad.
What if meth had a skill check?
What? Oh my god. I don't think I've never heard those words in a sentence ever. But what if? Do you think that there would be ranked? What rank meth addict would I be? Guys, do you think I'd be good in like a meth tournament? Do you think Nat 20? Okay, maybe I don't want to be ranked. Maybe oh, lots of death.
Path of Exile is a free-to-pay ARPG with a heavy focus on crafting, itemization, and customizable character progression. And when I
Did you say free to pay? I heard that right? What is not free to pay? What's the difference? He knows what he said. You're so right, but I'm free to pay? Is that a good thing?
I say heavy focus, I mean focus like a gacha gamer searching for any semblance of a pinching emoji. This is essentially a spreadsheet masquerading as a video game. Now, you may have heard that this game is infamously overcomplicated, but I am here to assure you that is not the case. It's so much worse than you can fathom. Okay, so it's a little hostile towards new players. You will see unironic forum posts with subjects like, I'm a relatively new Path of Exile player with only 500 hours in the game. How do I? This is because every few months, Path of Exile releases a new league. What's a league? About 18,230 feet, but in Path of Exile terms, it's a full character.
Okay, bitch. I like that. That was good.
An economy reset bundled with a new central mechanic. Now, most games are happy to power creep their old content into irrelevance, but the drooling psychopaths at Grinding Gear Games said, what if everything was always relevant? Forever. This means that there are dozens of core concepts over the last decade that you need to understand in order to reach this game's true end game, getting a fancy belt. But before we can dress you up in more high-end goods than Peter Nygaard, first we're going to have to commit more crimes than Peter Nygaard.
Oh.
We create a new account, log in, and
what?
Crimes than Peter Nygaard. We create a new account.
Hoonie Pop video?
And create a new character. What character should you pick? Oh, Muffin. We're nowhere near being able to answer that question. So for now, just go with whoever you think looks cool. To help you decide, here's a quick breakdown of each
just the
exile.
Cool guy.
The Templar is a religious man who tried to convince the church that Has Been Hotel was canon and was justifiably excommunicated. The only thing longer than his religious ramblings is his neck. The Shadow here ate the rich, and they notoriously dislike when people do that. Based off of his looks, he probably listens to MCR, so you know not to feel too bad for him. After that, we have the Marauder, a character modeled after the weakest Maori warrior, literally exiled for being too much of a Chad. The Scion killed her husband on their wedding night, and far worse, refused to return any of my wedding gifts. She needs to be literally unlocked in Act 3. The Ranger was banished for being a tomboy, which, as we all know, causes rampant bisexuality. The damage was incalculable. The Duelist is a true man amongst men. He was cheated in a duel, so he cheated his opponent out of a pulse. And finally, we have the Witch, a pick-me girl who was banished for committing the worst crime known to New Zealand, writing bad Lore Olympus fanfic, also murder. In case it is—
Yeah, who writes like bad fanfics, you know? Like, lock her up, man. Truly a witch. Burn her at the stake. Am I right, guys? Right? Yeah. Boo. Fanfic writers. Boo. I would never.
Isn't obvious by now, I don't know what the hell is going on here. I'm not sure anyone does. I've finished this campaign multiple times and I still don't know why I have to acquire the Staff of Virginity before I'm allowed to punch God in the heart. Because it doesn't matter. We're not really here for the campaign. So just like Tai Killer, I'm going to speedrun us through it so that we can get to the real game. We wake up on the shores of Rayclast, aka Lore Accurate Australia, and start a very bare bones tutorial for skills, links, and combat. Skills come in the form of colored gems that are either active or supportive. These gems go into colored sockets on your gear, which are connected by links. With this system, you can boost any active skill gem with any supportive gems so long as they are linked and compatible. For example, taking Burning Arrow and supporting it with Pierce so that we can achieve double the arson in a single shot. Want to know more? Too bad. Moving on. We're not going to be spending too much time in the worst vacation zone known to man unless you're playing hardcore mode. If you clicked that funny box at character creation, well, you might want to bring some sunscreen. Personally, I don't play hardcore mode for the same reason I don't do CBT. While some people enjoy it, I'm afraid to die and I'm probably not going to finish. We kill Hillock, an NPC whose lore will get you banned in general chat for discussing it, and make our way into town. It's an ARPG safe zone. You know the drill. Vendors, quests, waypoints, stash, the works. We also get our first skill point, so hold on. Let me get the boss music going. Okay, let's get the scary part over with. The moment you've all—
This is like when you ask a woman what she wants to get for dinner. These are all of the possibilities. These are all of the questions that you must ask to navigate to find the correct restaurant.
been waiting for. So, skill tree is a bit of an understatement. Technically, it's a skill graph. Be not afraid. Here's a quick tutorial in graph theory to help you along. Catch all that? Let me—
yeah, absorbing it, downloading it, filing it away. Got it.
Let me break it down. Basically, all characters get the same skill tree, but your class determines where you start in this pile of dots. This tangled mess of progression—
Oh my god! This thing is huge. That's what she said. Oh, this looks like a constellation, man. Forget a skill tree. This is like just a universe, and you're just star charting. Good lord.
Is divided into 3 sections: intelligence, strength, and dexterity. Each section is packed with clusters made up of small passives leading up to a notable passive, the taking of which unlocks a mastery related to the cluster. There's some other stuff, but don't worry about it for now. It looks scary, but for now, just pick whatever skills make you stronger or whatever keeps you alive longer. There are too many layers of offense and defense to cover in a guide like this, but just path towards whatever you think is interesting or you feel you need more of. Really, that's it. See, it's not so bad, at least until we get to the end of the campaign. After that, well, we'll get there. Anyway, time to move on and rip through the campaign. After avoiding a gaggle of British people, we hit the hardest area in the game where we get bodied by whatever the hell Aroa is. If you can make it past this zone, you can make it through the rest of the campaign. We kill a mermaid, wipe out some Aztecs piloting the world's slowest battle mech, and then savage the blood dungeon so that we can get shown the true face of God. And that's just acts 1, 2, and 3 of 10. Now we just have to kill the devil from the Bible so that we can return to Oriath, where we can finally kill God or die trying. We die trying. Lucky for us, the concept of sin or something saves us. I wasn't really paying attention. Anyway, back to the beach. Now Act 1 is Act 6, and we get to run through a remix of all the acts. We help a mermaid deal with her crabs before finding out what happens when someone watches way too much interspecies reviewers. After that, we settle a sibling dispute the hard
Don't save them. They are exactly where they want to be.
way so that we can run through the blood aqueducts 20 times before facing down the diabetes.
Whoa! What?
Finally, we get our rematch with God. But this time
That's
we
crazy.
brought the right MacGuffin. The Katapa boss fight is actually a pretty great end to the campaign. It's a pretty hard fight your first few times through,
That
and it
looks
feels
cool.
appropriately epic. But hey, that's it. You did it. 20 to 30 hours in, and you finally beat Path of Exile.
Yay!
Tutorial.
Oh.
Now the real game begins.
Oh my god, wait, that reminds me. Weren't people talking about like the 007 tutorial was like hours long or something like that? I don't know how I feel. I've never played a game where the campaign is equated to a tutorial. So I don't know how I would feel going so many hours getting through everything and kind of getting set up with like a false ending. I don't know if I would be happy, but I don't really like these kinds of games anyway. So I don't think people who enjoy this type really care, but I'd be a little sad. I'd be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I thought I did the thing.
Katava was a little bitch compared to what's on the horizon. There's an infinite number of worlds out there, and they're all being threatened by various forces beyond comprehension. And that's not just because they're mostly Eldritch abominations, but because understanding the character and gear progression required to fight them is harder than understanding Raelian. So that begs the question, what build should we play? Honestly, that's up to you. There's always a handful of meta builds that are popular, but there's a guide out there for almost every skill. And that's what makes this game so unique. Want to set people on fire by being literally holier than thou? Righteous Fire. Want to summon dozens of floating skulls to nibble through your enemies like a swarm of angry piranhas? Summon Raging Spirits. Want to be more caustic than a Call of Duty lobby? Toxic Rain. Want to have no fucking clue what's going on? Flicker Strike. There's a near endless combination of skills and classes to choose from, but it really comes down to what you think will be fun and what you can budget. Time to get on that Sigma femboy grind set. The real goal for this game is to get rich and die trying. Your budget for a build will depend on how many chaos, divines, and mirrors you can amass in a reasonable amount of time. What are those things?
Okay.
Well, they're the gold standard for player trade and 3 of several dozen currencies in Path of Exile. I assume the devs set it up this way because New Zealand runs on some similar unhinged exchange system. So what is value? Everything in Path of Exile has a rarity and difficulty of acquisition, which along with how desired or meta it is in a given league will determine its value. Now, this may sound like I'm saying there is a stock market like economy built around this game. Well, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And just like the Canadian housing market, it's mostly speculative and you probably can't afford
Look at that
it.
crash.
If you make it this far in your first league and you want to go further, you should plan your budget to be around at most a few hundred chaos to maybe 5 divines if you're feeling spicy. Mirrors are right out. Don't even look at them. As far as you're concerned, they don't exist. But why do these currencies have value? How do they help us with the end game? Well, welcome to the true boss of Path of Exile.
Time.
The crafting system. I
never
have
mind.
2 degrees from one of Canada's most universities, and I still barely understand crafting in this game. But that's not going to stop me from passing along misinformation to you, though, dear viewer. So, for Shaper's sake, take everything I'm about to say with enough grains of salt to season a hardcore player's death. Items have a fixed number of modifier slots on them called affixes, which are split between prefixes and suffixes, usually 3 each, but some have less or different amounts. What type of affixes can appear on an item depend on that item's type. Most affixes have tiers. The lower the tier, the better the stat range. The possible tiers also depend on the item's level, with higher item levels allowing lower tiers to roll. All affixes have different weights that can determine how likely they are to appear. However, through the dark art of crafting, we can change those weights in our favor. At the end of all of this, just remember the chances of a desired affix appearing is always 50-50, since it either shows up or it doesn't. Now, there are
True.
several ways to craft in Path of Exile. Resonators, essences, spam, beasts, and many more. But everything comes back to chaos, divines, and exalted orbs. The market reason for this, like most things, is unfortunately math, but it's mostly attributed to things like metacrafting, chaos sinks, and some other stuff I just don't have the care to explain at you. So how does one go about obtaining all these fancy crafting resources? Well, it's time to finally talk about... Oh, did you think we were done with graphs? You delicious buffoon, we're just getting started. The Atlas of Worlds is our endgame progression system. Like the skill tree, this might look a little daunting, but it's not that bad, at least until we start throwing stones at it. The Atlas is made up of maps. A map is a specific area that gets procedurally generated when opened with the map device. Each map has a tier which determines the level of monsters in it. The higher the tier, the stronger the monsters, the more difficult the map, but the more rewarding the loot. The tiers go from 1 to 16 for the standard standard maps, with a special tier 17 being used for as we clear maps, we can do bonus objectives, which get harder as our maps change color. Completing this bonus objective yields a funny new type of point. Whatever could that be for, I wonder? Hold on, let me get the boss music again. And here we have the Atlas passive skill.
Oh god, there's more. Oh god. Just know, if you're into like astrology, this is what I picture, and I immediately stop listening. Just know, if you start talking about how Jupiter aligns with the fucking Pluto, and then you can't eat fish for that day because it'll kill you, or something stupid, like this is the mental picture of all the hoops I see you jumping through to come up with some cockamamie bullshit. Oh no, why are there so many? It hurts my brain. My brain's very smooth, very whittle.
Tree. Last graph, I swear. Remember all those old League mechanics I mentioned at the start of the video? Well, here they are, but on steroids. This is where you can customize what you find most fun in Path of Exile and exploit it for profit. There is a ton of League mechanics to choose from, but here's a brief rundown of my personal favorites. Expedition adds a fun cast of characters to your map who benefit from your cheap foreign labor. Harbingers adds the Blue Man group, but now the music is just... Betrayal turns this meme into a mechanic. Ritual adds a gambling window to our gambling simulator. Incursion adds Elva, who tells us there are riches in an Aztec temple, enabling a Christopher Columbus playthrough. And Blight turns the game into a tower defense, which attacks your frame rate more than your character. God. And those are just a handful. There is so much variety to choose from, so make like a sexually curious college student and try a bit of everything. And a little advice on mechanic farming. Don't get swept up in what some people tell you is optimal or best. There's good strategies for almost everything, but the only wrong way to play Path of Exile is one where you're not having fun. Now, as we progress our atlas, we may start to encounter anomalies. The envoy here, on top of sounding like chill hip-hop speak to study and relax to, warns us of a few of the endgame baddies that we're going to run up against as we enter red maps. Mini bosses like the mukbang YouTuber and Lady Gaga both require boss knowledge to beat, like how to navigate the Taco Bell swamp attack, but with a little gumption and some decent gear, they shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, firmly planted in red maps, we can look to the top of the Atlas passive tree, and here we can see the pinnacle bosses of Path of Exile. Cirrus, the Awakener, the Searing Exarch, the Eater of Worlds, Cortex, the Shaper, and the Elder, and finally, the
Time contorts.
If we're gonna have any chance at defeating these big bads, we're gonna need a real build with real gear. It's gonna take hundreds of maps to find the items necessary to trade or craft our stuff. This means the faster we can blast through maps, the faster we can get to these pinnacles of PoE prestige. Mapping in Path of Exile is a balancing act between offense, defense, and speed. Now, me personally, I live and die a lot, by the notion that the best way to mitigate enemy damage is to never let them attack in the first place, which is why I stack move and attack speed and play Flicker Strike builds. Look at that clarity of combat. This is what is known as a 6-portal defense. You paid for 6 portals, you might as well use all of them.
Oh shit. We go again.
Now that we've hit red maps and we've filled out our skill and atlas tree, it's time to really scale our maps. In order to have a better chance at finding valuable items, we need to juice harder than a TikTok fitness influencer. You can do this by spending crafting currency on your maps by using scarabs, chisels, etc, etc. Just make sure that when you're rolling mods on your map, you roll ones that your build can handle.
Why won't you die?
You don't want to run an Ellie Reflect map and die instantly. That would be super embarrassing. No longer poor, we can engage with player-to-player trading, assuming you're in one of the trade leagues. If you're in solo self-found, then I suggest you get a certificate of competence from Craft of Exile before wasting all your chaos trying to roll an affix that can't appear on the gear you're crafting. Otherwise, the trade site is about to become your new addiction. Oh, it'll start off small, a ring upgrade here, a skill gem there, but before long, you'll have several active searches running while riding a near-lethal dose of Ritalin, so you can buy a crappy cluster jewel base at 10C under market value before Scraper Bot does. And when you get that invite, you will ride that high until you reach the seller's hideout and get flashbanged by their trash waifu's bare ass and or feet.
Brother,
Speaking
can you go ahead and like tell me that person's name so that like doesn't happen to me? Like I would just like to make sure, you know, that I'm safe, you know, because I would never want that to happen.
of trash, it's time for a loot filter. We won't be picking up 99% of the items that hit the floor, so hit up neversinkfilterblade.xyz and download the basic loot filters. Nothing triggers that dopamine spike like that iconic tink sound anyway. Oh, that's the stuff. As you get better and figure out what mechanics you find fun, you can customize this to the beach and back, but for now, just stick with the basic filters. If you haven't been filtered out of the player base by this point, then it's time for the ultimate tool. Any PoE player worth their salt needs Path of Building. This isn't optional. Path of Building allows us to simulate any build you or an Adderall Field community member can hallucinate. Can't decide between two passives on the tree? POB it. Want to know if that item is an upgrade? POB it. Want to crack the seed number required for a timeless jewel? F***ing POB it. This is the real video game. Path of Exile is simply a tool to test your Path of Building creation. So, now that we're decked out, let's pay those pinnacle bosses a visit. Hit it.
Ooh. Oh, this looks sick. So many things are on the screen. I can see where the dopamine comes from, for sure. Oh my god.
Pinnacle bosses are difficult and will take some practice. That said, they have fairly clear and telegraphed attacks that usually have an audio component that'll let you know what's coming.
Oh.
Some of these audio cues are even kind of infamous, like Cirrus's Die Beam, or the Eater's Hunger Slam, or
Ooh. I like the glitchiness.
spend enough time in the Atlas and something funny happens. We're well past the point of being able to clear difficult maps. Hell, we can defeat any boss, and yet we continue to make it harder on ourselves. We're not doing this to win anymore. We won a long time ago. We chose the path of Sisyphus and asked for a bigger boulder. Cirrus and the conquerors of the Atlas weren't a warning. They were an aspiration. We're not playing for victory. We're playing for big numbers and even bigger memes. Remember those tier 17 maps? Well, upon completion, they can drop a fragment. Collect all the pieces and you can gain access to an Uber encounter. Uber bosses have more health, deal more damage, have more damage reduction, augmented mechanics, and more importantly, have a special item drop pool. Some of the best items in the game only drop from the Uber version of Pinnacle bosses. However, more often than not, you're going to get trash. But hey, that's PoE, baby. So how do we deal with this railroad spike through the head and difficulty? By pushing our build to its absolute limit. I'm talking more defense than when I gave a coworker constructive criticism. I'm talking more offense than when Australia decided it didn't like emus. I'm talking Tier 0 uniques. Tier 0 uniques are the rarest items in Path of Exile outside of mirror tier rares. Some of them are so powerful that entire builds can be crafted around just a single one. Of these chase items, Mage Blood is one of the most sought after. For several leagues since its introduction, it's been one of the most expensive uniques in any given league, and the only way to obtain it is to grind harder than a stripper trying to break out of ELO hell. Now, you can do endgame content without these items, but that's not why you're here, is it, cutie? And I know, again with the tiers, we've got more tiers than a wedding cake baked by a coke fiend, but don't stress too much about these ultra rare items. The build I've been using for most of this video costs like 10 divines and is hardcore viable. Too bad I'm not.
No!
But if we're gonna do this, we may as well farm currency like we're trying to buy a price-inflated Big Mac and push our sword-based persuasion as far as we can.
Corrupted.
And now, with that finally out of the way, we can discuss her. Well, there is arguably no real final boss in Path of Exile, and there are harder enemies in things like Deep Delve. The Maven is widely regarded as the final test in Path of Exile. The nascent eldritch entity, she is a child, we do not lose the Maven, wants to figure out what life is and does this by slamming her toys together until they break. The only problem is that we're the toys. She collects other bosses for fun. The Maven can be summoned to any map to increase that map boss's difficulty, and after defeating it, it will be stored away in an invitation for later. Early, this means you'll have to fight a handful of bosses at once, but later it's 10 enhanced map bosses more or less back to back to back. But who cares about the standard map bosses at this point? Like I said, we can defeat any boss. Well, it isn't just the standard map bosses that interest her. Special bosses like the Shaper's Prisoners, Cirrus's Elder Slayers, or even Cortex's Creations are all fair game. And these four-way fights can get more intense than Thanksgiving political discussion and only slightly less violent. But even that's not enough for the Maven, because not even the pinnacle bosses are safe. Atziri, Cortex, Chayula, and even the Shaper and the Elder cannot escape her grasp. But it's not like we have to fight them all at once, right?
Are you sure about that? Run! Oh my god, there's so much on the screen.
Alright, time to finally beat the Uber Maven so that I can post this video and have Chris give me my streamer client. I just hope that I can dodge the most difficult attack in the game.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh.
The living toy must enjoy our contests.
Path of Exile is a spreadsheet-based gambling addiction that should be avoided at all costs. It will cause you to watch entire videos of someone talking over a notepad or spreadsheet document and think, yo, this looks sick, I can't wait to try it. And just like watching One Piece, it only gets good after several hundred hours. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I love poring over the novel-length patch notes every league start and then going to Reddit so I can be told why this is the worst thing to ever happen. I love reading the nerfs and getting gaslit by Zizarin as to why this is good, actually. I love ignoring both of those things and then playing Flicker Strike again and just having a glorious time. At its heart, Path of Exile is an amazing ARPG that has some of the deepest customization you could ever ask for. There's so many different ways to customize your gameplay on so many different levels, it's honestly kind of crazy. Players will often optimize the fun out of their own gameplay, but Path of Exile is one of those rare games where optimization is part of the fun. Now, this game is free to pay. You can absolutely enjoy everything this game has to offer without spending any money, but it's a lot more fun and convenient if you buy a few stash tabs. I have seen a lot of scummy microtransactions in video games, but with Path of Exile, it really feels earned. Every league brings excellent content for free and quality of life features, mostly in the forms of RSI reduction. I'm usually happy to drop some money on this game every couple of leagues or so because the devs absolutely deserve it. If you really enjoy this game, I would recommend getting a currency tab and a map tab and then deciding for yourself if you want to invest any more. GGG puts up a stash tab sale every few weeks, so keep an eye out for that before buying. And if you really like this game, then buy yourself some drip and lose that yee-ass armor set. Finally, let's talk about some actually good players. The community around this game is one of the best, and honestly, you pretty much can't go wrong with just going to the PoE Twitch page and then picking a random person. The landlord and the tenant are both wonderful and have Burton Ernie energy. Zizarin puts out fantastic guides every league start and should be the first stop for any newer player looking to get into Path of Exile. Steelmage, on the other hand, is great because he details his hardcore character's progression throughout the course of a league and implements interesting builds. Empyrean Gaming is where you should go if you want to see the absolutely insane limits of what Path of Exile gameplay can look like. His group usually finds a way to break the new league in half within the first few days, and it's always entertaining to watch. He also puts out great guides for mid to late game farming that are very worth checking out. And finally, I have to shout out my favorite robotic communist, Mage Fist, for indoctrinating me into the Church of Flicker Strike and finding a way to make Path of Exile guides visually interesting to look at. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for making it to the end.
You're my real friends, hateful strangers.
More videos to come, so I'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comments. I've really enjoyed being bullied into playing RimWorld, so keep those recommendations coming. Until next time, have a great day and stay safe out there.
Yay! Thank you, Connor. Thank you.
Oh, that was a ride, man. So much on the screen at all times. That was good.
Okay. All right. As I said, lots of things going on, very overwhelming, but honestly, I see the appeal. Even if it doesn't appeal to me directly, the rush of dopamine, everything going on, chaos and everything else. And then if you like being very particular, if you like going through everything, breaking it all down, it does seem like it would be a lot of fun. Please, 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 please make sure you check out the original video. It's gonna be down below. If you like my video, make sure you like and subscribe so I can see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.